Hola y bienvenidos a nuestras entrevistas de St. Brigid's Day, en las que celebramos los logros de las mujeres irlandesas y de ascendencia irlandesa. Y estoy encantado de tener con nosotros a una magnífica invitada para la entrevista de hoy. Cecilia MacKenna remonta su herencia irlandesa directamente a la muy famosa figura de Juan MacKenna de Monaghan en Irlanda, quien sin duda se asombraría de lo que Cecilia y tantos miembros del clan MacKenna han logrado en más de 2 siglos. En una destacada carrera diplomática de 43 años, los numerosos cargos de Cecilia incluyeron el de embajadora de Chile en Suiza, en los Países Bajos, en Alemania y en la tierra de sus antepasados en Irlanda, donde fue nombrada embajadora de Chile en 2008. En la actualidad, Cecilia es miembro activo de nuestra nueva Cámara Irlandesa Chilena de Comercio en Santiago. Ha sido nombrada recientemente comisionada de Chile para la Asociación de la Comunidad Empresarial Alemana para América Latina y es directora del Centro de Estudios de Políticas Exterior y Relaciones Internacionales. So, Cecilia, thank you for joining us and happy St. Brigid's Day.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I was very honored to be invited to celebrate an important woman in Ireland. And it's not only the beginning of spring, but St. Brigid's Day is now a bank holiday, and it's very much celebrating also the achievement of women. So it's really an honor for me to be here, and thank you so much.
No, not at all. And I suppose everybody associates St. Patrick's Day with
Absolutely.
Ireland. And St. Brigid's Day, we have used it in recent years really to celebrate the achievements of Irish women, all they've achieved in their respective fields. And I suppose to mark the distance we still have to travel when it comes to gender equality as well. And with that in mind, I wanted to take you back to the start of what was a very distinguished diplomatic career. I mean, today we look at the foreign ministry here in Chile and we have a woman as foreign minister, we have a woman subsecretary for international relations, we have a woman as chief of protocol, but it wasn't always that way.
No.
And I'm interested in the environment for women in the foreign ministry you joined when you started your career.
Well, as you said, I mean, it was a totally different environment. Actually, in my promotion, we were 20 students when we joined the Diplomatic Academy. Out of that 20, only 3 were women and 17 men. Nowadays, it's, 50-50, or even some generations are plus 50 women, 50% women. So it's a huge, huge change. Not in all fields. Actually, when going back to my last visit to Ireland, in the chamber, for example, trip, the business community is still very much men-oriented or men, but certainly in diplomacy it has been a great change, a very positive change. I think the possibility of equality of opportunities starts everything, and then from then on, today it's unthinkable, although it still exists, but discrimination, it's totally unacceptable. It's a right recognized. It's in every legislation. Not in all countries actually taken well care of. But in our foreign service, there's been a huge change. I must say, to be quite honest, that I never felt discriminated. I never felt that I was treated differently by the fact of being a woman. I think in Chile, civil service has been very much, in a way, like same pay for same job has always been considered a right. So in that sense, we didn't have to fight for those things, but we did have to fight for other things. So there was some discrimination. I didn't felt it myself. I didn't felt I was a token. I felt I was very much there because I had shown the capabilities to be there, and that was fully respected, no? But we've been a long way since then.
Sure. Yeah. And it's been a big journey for every foreign ministry. I mean, our foreign ministry as well, you look at the numbers of women serving in the top roles 50, 40, 30 years ago even. the numbers weren't there at the same level, and it's only in very recent times that we now have a majority of women appointed to ambassadorial roles. And so I suppose every foreign ministry has been on this journey. Yeah. But of course, we're biased here, and we're especially interested in the time you spent in the land of your forefathers, because you're a direct descendant of Juan MacKenna, who, I mean, not all our viewers will know, but a majority of them will, I'm sure, was governor of Osorno and Valparaiso here, was a very close friend of Bernard O'Higgins, someone himself, of course, of Irish family, and played a big role in the early part of Chile's fight for its independence until his too early death in 1814. I mean, that must have made it especially emotional for you going back to Ireland as Chile's ambassador in 2008.
Absolutely. I mean, for me, Ireland has been very much in my life since I was a child. I heard all the families' histories about our ancestors, the special role that Juan MacKenna played in our independence. I really, since I was very young, my dream was to go to Ireland. I went for the first time in 1990 to a MacKenna clan's gathering. Then I was appointed as chief of the MacKenna clan. And when I visited First Island, I went to Monaghan, obviously, and to Willbill, which is the house where he was born, which is still standing, not in the best of conditions, but still standing. And so these very close links were very much vivid in me. But obviously, the fact of being named ambassador was like the culmination to that. It was so important for me. The only such thing that my father had already passed away, because it would have been so meaningful for him. But I went with my brothers and my sisters, and I took all the family along, and so it meant a lot for me. And it meant a lot also because I think we have a lot of similarities, and it was a very fruitful period in terms of a personal life and in terms of my professional life. I could do a lot of things. We were celebrating the bicentennial of Chile's independence, and since Chile's independence is so much linked to Ireland, we did a lot of things in relation to Chilean independence, special wine editions, special stamp editions, a lot of things. So it was really very, very important for me. It's something that I won't ever forget. When I presented my credentials to Mary McAleese, which was the president in those days, she said, "You're coming back home." And I very much felt I was coming back home. It was like closing the circle in a way. It was very emotional and really a very important moment in my life.
You mentioned the similarities between Chile and Ireland. That's something that's really struck me as well. We are, two countries that in the past, very Catholic countries, very conservative,
Absolutely.
But in recent decades have, I suppose, become more open, more inclusive, more tolerant, more multicultural as well.
Absolutely.
I'm interested in the degree to which, you were struck by that when you were in Ireland, and also, again, returning to our St. Brigid's Day theme, as a woman diplomat, I mean, in Ireland, we've had our own long journey towards greater gender equality, still not being there yet, and with huge mistakes made socially and politically in the past as well. Sure. So I'm interested in how you found the environment as a woman diplomat in Ireland compared to in Chile or other countries.
Yeah, well, as I said, I think we have a lot of similarities, and as you mentioned, the role of the Catholic Church was very important in both our countries. I would say the role that it played in education in Ireland was much stronger than we had a laicist society from the 1930s onwards, where although the Catholic Church was still very important in education, it was not as close as it was in Ireland, which was like the main factor of education was through Catholic education. No? So in that sense, we do have we have a background that took us to like a conservative look and a conservative way of dealing with things. That has changed. That has changed. I mean, if you think of a subject, just to put a subject, divorce, it was unthinkable 20 years ago even. to think about that, or to talk about that, or to legislate about that. And today it's a part of our reality. And we can mention other things as well, no? So I think we've gone through more or less the same path. And in terms of women, well, we mentioned earlier on what meant in the Foreign Service. I think it also, we have gone a big way in that sense. The fact that we are a much multicultural society makes that change happen much easier, no? I think there are still some, I mean, not everybody agrees to that, not everybody likes it, but certainly it's a reality, and it's very much growing into the way we are dealing as a society. I think we have many things to do in that respect. But as a diplomat, I don't see any difficulty in being a woman working as a diplomat. I think it's a job, or it's a career very much conducive for women to practice it. Probably like 40, 50 years ago, to have a woman living abroad alone, being a diplomat wasn't the normal thing to see. But nowadays, and I think it lets you develop in so many areas, like political, consular, economic. So I think it's a career very much open for women. I would encourage women to follow the diplomatic career. I think, I mean, my experience, and I can't skip my experience. It's been so positive. Yeah. So I would really encourage women to join the respective diplomatic service. Although sometimes serving in some countries is not easy. There are environments that are a bit alien to your codes, and which is also an enhancing and enriching experience, but it may take more time to settle.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned being in Ireland as recently as November with our new Ireland-Chile Chamber of Commerce.
Yes.
That's set up here in Santiago, a new organization. What do you think is the potential there? What do you think that organization can contribute to the links between our countries?
Well, I think because of our similarities, and also in the business field, I think we have some common interests that would help, and the fact that we have a chamber now will certainly make those possibilities grow. We had a very positive visit. We had very good talks and meetings, both with businessmen and with the state agencies, which is, I think, important to have the public and the private sectors working together. And I think it was a very fruitful experience. We could, in a way, consolidate the interests that are in both our countries. In a personal note, I must say that it was also interesting for me because some of the agencies or some of the businesses we visited were businesses that started when I was ambassador. For example, Mainstream. I started the conversations, the negotiations, and with Eddie O'Connor in those days. Okay. And now to see how big it is here in Chile, how important it is in Chile, and I think it's through the meetings and through the dialogue we had, and I must thank the embassy for the fantastic organization and the Department of Foreign Affairs, because they did a great job, both you and the department. Well, we are the same thing, no, but because the dialogues and the meetings we had confirmed that we have a potential, a very important potential, and in going to other areas, which certain will be of enhance the commerce between Chile and Ireland. And in that sense, I think the role of the chamber, which I'm proudly a member, is very important.
Well, thank you, Cecilia, and thank you for all the work you did. I mean, you mentioned Mainstream Renewable Power there, which is our largest Irish-born company in Chile, in wind and solar energy and green hydrogen now as well. And so many of these things, you know, they started more than a decade ago. It started in your time in Ireland, and so many initiatives. You were mentioning wine. I think in Ireland now we drink more Chilean wine than any other country, so you had great success in that as well.
That.
So listen, thank you very much for being here today, for sharing some of your experiences and some of your advice. And thank you to you, our viewers. We hope you have a happy St. Brigid's Day and you enjoy all the videos that are available on our social media channel to mark this occasion. Thank you.